Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neal.
I'm Treacherous Trista.
And we're joined by producer and writer Brian Patrick O'Toole. It's very cool to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Very good. It was good to start talking to you last week. We were did the Plaga Zombie show. And Walter, one of the people involved, he was saying you were very helpful in that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know if I was helpful, but have you seen the film?
Yeah, I was a big fan of the movie.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's got that Attack of the Killer Tomatoes vibe. But the thing that it had that I really liked is that you really cared about Sam and Manny. Like most of those films is just exploitation and, kill. But you really went through. It's sort of like in Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. It was sort of like, I think that film worked because we like the heroes.
Yeah. Yeah, you can have a lot of schlocky stuff going on, but that can be fun on its own. But if you actually care about the people, it adds a whole different, then you're actually into the movie. You're invested.
Right. And I mean, for what they spent on it, it's better than some of these sci-fi movies and anything Asylum's been putting out. So, I'm happy just to have had an early peek at it.
Yeah, I mentioned this on the show last week. Like everyone involved, when we had them on the show, you could tell that they really loved making it, which was nice. But I think even before I talked to them, you could tell that when I was watching the movie, they either had fun or they were passionate about the movie, and it really came through.
Right, but it took them a lot. It was, I think I heard it was 7 years.
Yeah, it was
on and off to make it. Yeah, so good for them. It should be very successful.
Yeah, it was very cool. So, earlier today, you sent me it was like your notes for Dog Soldiers, like when you read the script, and I found that very interesting because I think it gave me a look on what a producer does. Because not only did you look at it as the art side, like it's original, these different things, but you also looked at it in a practical way, like who is it going to appeal to? Can you make this movie for a certain amount of money? And I was just wondering, first question is, how do you balance those things when you're looking at a movie? Something, obviously you want to be involved in something that's going to be good, but there's also the practical side. Can we make this? Are people going to go see it?
Well, I mean, with Dog Soldiers, it was like we had just started the company. I had just joined Kismet, and they were looking for a project. And so, I've literally read through 299 scripts. They were all okay, but it's nothing to start a company with. And then, and when you read a script, the producers or whatever want you to give them what's called coverage, just something so they know a synopsis and then what you think of it and stuff like that. So I read Dog Soldiers and I was like, yeah, this is really good. And so I did the coverage, which is my job, is to pinpoint it. But the mistake I made on it was that I pointed out the comparisons to Night of the Living Dead, that it was very much influenced by that film. And then they didn't want to make it. They were like, no, it's been done. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. See, films, good films will take... like there's a string, like a familiarness to it. Like, for example, The Lost Boys. That story is really Peter Pan. It's a lead vampire is looking for a mother for his boys, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, that's So it wasn't a slap to the film that it was similar to Night of the Living Dead,
right?
So I finally convinced them, and I'll never forget the day we're sitting along this table, and it was like, okay, well, it's your job. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do this movie. But if it fails, you're out of here. And I was like, okay. And I put a lot on the line for that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I answered your question, but yeah, it was tough to get made, and then making it was tough, and then getting it sold was tough. And anyway, did that answer your question? Or
not exactly, but I thought it was a good answer either way. But I did want to say, even Night of the Living Dead itself, though, Romero always said that's his I Am Legend, the Matheson story.
Right,
So,
exactly. I
everything
mean,
is based inspired by something.
right. It's good. Yeah, like for example, and that's what makes it a good movie, because the audience sense is comfortable with a sense of familiarness to it. For example, Mortal Kombat, not the new one, but the original one in '95, or was it? Do you know what movie that really is?
I'm not. I mean, I know of the movie, but I'm not really. I can't say I wasn't really big on the movie, so I don't remember it very well.
Oh, okay. Well, it's basically The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
4 friends go to a different world to kill the witch. So when I was teaching screenwriting and stuff like that, that's something that I try to impose, is like find a classic tale and sort of weave something familiar into it. I'm not talking plagiarism. I'm saying,
Sure.
something where people, like, for example, Cemetery Gates, which is another one of my films. The fairy tale that I used for that was actually Winnie the Pooh. Believe it or not. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but basically it's, a boy is reunited with his pet years later after he sort of discarded the pet. So how would Winnie the Pooh act at that time? So, but I used a giant mutated Tasmanian devil. And that's the difference between us two.
Right. So to go back even further than this, I guess, when was like working in movies something you thought, this is something I would like to get into?
Oh, I've always done that. I think my first great, well, it's because I've always loved fear, and I'll explain that, because that's not a really good answer. When I was 5, I want to date myself, but my parents, being the good people that they are, took me to the drive-in to see Night of the Living Dead. Okay,
I have the exact same story. But yeah, go on.
and they put me on the roof of the car, and did whatever they were doing there. So here's a 5-year-old watching this movie, and then people are shuffling by on the gravel. And I remember seeing 2 guys. Well, I know they were making out now, but at the time I thought the guy was attacking the girl. I became petrified. So to me, that started it. And then I saw the Poseidon Adventure, and that made me really want to make movies. I was like, because I was watching the audience more than I was watching the film, and it was just how people were reacting and stuff like that. And when I finally saw Dawn of the Dead, which is my favorite movie of all time, that's what made me want to make more horror films, because I was trying to capture that fear again. So I've been lucky,
because that's my favorite zombie movie.
Yeah. I was really lucky to get to work with George Romero. Very few people get to sit and tell the maker of their favorite film why they make it. And the greatest compliment that I ever got was after I told him, I did my college thesis on this movie and I love it, and all the allegories of AIDS and consumerism. And he just looked up from his whiskey glass and he went, "What's wrong with you?" And to me, that'll always be the most magic moment. And I did get to work with him on Dead Reckoning, which became Land of the Dead. And so
that's awesome.
We became friends, and I got to talk to him on the phone a few times, and he's told me some horror stories, and but that was great.
Mm-hmm. So how did you go about pursuing, like, okay, I watch these movies, I love movies, I love horror movies, this is something I want to do. How do you pursue that at the time?
Oh, that was pure by accident. Well, it was just something I always wanted to do. I took a screenwriting class. I was in Second City in the late 80s in Chicago, and I decided I wanted to write comedy. I wanted to write. So I took a screenwriting class that was offered, by mail. Do you remember mail? It was before email. And so they flew me to Los Angeles, and I was immediately hooked. I go, this is what I want to do for a living. Now, it was pretty tough. The first 3 years was pretty tough. I, at one point, was homeless. At one point, I was stealing food from Hollywood McDonald's. People would leave their plates and I would swipe a burger. I mean, I'm not I did what I had to do because I really wanted to do this for a living. And it was pretty tough, but I actually ended up working in the office with my agent. Leslie Callan. And from there, she let me, read scripts and learn that. And I finally went on pitching things. And you would go and you would pitch, our agency would have a bunch of scripts and we would go to producers and stuff and pitch them and hopefully they would buy them. One of the people that I pitched to was Richard Donner, who has recently passed away, which is a shame. But so I did it. He didn't buy anything, but so I made the Hollywood mistake, and I said, I'm new in town. Is there some advice or something that you can offer me? And he looked me dead in the eye and he said, yeah, if you're good at something else, do that. And I was like devastated, like, what? And I sort of kept that anger, and it sort of drove me. And most of the time, people say, it's luck, and it really is luck, because then while I was working at the agency, I was also working at a flower shop / framing shop. And one of the customers was Howard Kazanjian, who produced Raiders of the Lost Ark, Return of the Jedi. And I just, I recognized the name. I started talking to him. He started sending me scripts. And I started working on development notes for him, like Bram Stoker's Dracula, Falling Down, let's a few other Firm, things like that. So it was basically that. So, but this was all before 9/11. So you could go to the studios, and if you looked like you knew what you were doing, you could basically just walk on the lot. And I would go to bungalows, and I'd knock on the door and say, hey, I work just down there, but I don't have anything to read this weekend. Do you have any scripts you need read? And they always did. And that's just how it developed. And that's how I met my friend and mentor, Luigi Cingolani, who produced Space Invaders, which was a comedy with Royal, what was his name? I forget now. Royal Dano. And he did Adventures in Dinosaur City. He was Smart Egg Pictures. You might recognize Smart Egg Pictures because they did Nightmare on Elm Street. Mm-hmm. Funny story about that, I'll tell you real quick, is that they had they had Nightmare on Elm Street, and they did 1, 2, and 3, and then they sold the rights off to New Line because they thought, well, you can't do any more with this. So that's how Smart Egg. So Smart Egg also did Critters. Luigi did Critters and stuff like that. So from there, but it was all by accident and not giving up and doing a lot of things for free. So you smile a lot. Like, yeah, I'll do that. Sure, no problem. What's a life? Life? Who needs it?
So when you're reading scripts, what are the things you look for?
Well, I mean, if it's entertaining, if it's something special, if it's something new, I mean, everything's been done. So if it's a vampire script, you're going to look at how did they take the story and twist it, to make it new, which is what Dog Soldiers did it. Mm-hmm. It turned it differently. I mean, it's hard to tell. It's just you read it and it's right. For example, like when I was reading for Paramount and for Warner Brothers, they basically want you to read the first 10 pages, the middle 10 pages, and the last 10 pages, because you have a stack, higher than your head to go through. But I never did that. I can honestly say I read the whole thing, because as a writer, I would hope somebody would do that for me. So it took me a little longer, but I read them. And that's how I got the reputation. So I had a lot of people, sending me scripts to read and things like that. I just, because I always respected the craft, because it's hard. It's such a desperate town. It really is. There's always someone who wants your job. There's always somebody who's willing to do whatever it takes, and so you really want to, to shine.
What would be some of just common mistakes you would say people make if they're writing a script? Like maybe it's really good, it's new or something, but there's just, for whatever reason, there's something about it it's probably not going to be made.
Well, here's the thing. So when I was teaching, the honest answer is when I started my classes teaching screenwriting, the first thing I would say is, none of you are going to sell an original screenplay. None of you. And 30 years later, nobody has written me and said, Mr. O'Toole, you were wrong. I sold an original screenplay. And that's because the producer will always have better stories than you will, but they need the necessary evil, which is a writer. So what you want to do is you want to write a script in every genre as a calling card. They're looking for a vampire script. Oh, I have a vampire script. You might want to read it. That's how you get jobs. You don't write a script. I have so many students who would come up to me and go, I have this great idea for a story. Oh, but I don't want to tell you because you'll steal it. Or the studios will steal it. Well, you know what? They can afford to pay you for your idea. No one's going to steal. Everyone thinks of that Eddie Murphy thing, but no, they're not going to steal. They're not going to steal. If it's a good idea, they're going to pay for it. They're going to pay for it and then most likely lock it away so no other studio can get to it. But that's a whole nother story. But as far as it was, so I would tell the students, I go, you want to tell your idea to as many people as you can, or lock it in a drawer. Just lock it in a drawer and move on. Because I guarantee you someone has already thought of that idea. I've never heard a bad idea. It's the execution that makes the winners and losers, if you ask me.
Trista, do you have a question?
I'm always interested in what scares horror creators. So I'm wondering if you have any fears or phobias you feel comfortable sharing.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story. I used to work at Kmart here in a town called Melrose Park, and there used to be this guy that used to always come in, right? And he had this red truck, and he worked in construction, and he would buy construction stuff, and he always offered me a job. He's like, hey, you want to come work with me? I'm paying $10 an hour, and I'm pretty much lazy. So, and I was in high school, so I was like, nah, I'm not interested. So, so this went on for, almost a couple of years. I mean, you worked there. Anyway, I come to work from school one day, and my friend Carol, who worked in the grill, holds up a newspaper, and she goes, hey, you recognize this guy? I go, yeah, that's that smelly guy with the red truck. She goes, yeah, he just murdered 33 young men and boys. So yeah, John Wayne Gacy.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So you don't forget that. You don't forget that sudden realization where you face death. I mean, it was like, basically it was my laziness that saved me because I'm not going to, I was getting $3.75 at Kmart. That was enough money for me at the time. But yeah, that fear, it's like you try to escape it. And for me, horror films were doing that. But as far as phobias or anything, no, I'm not, I wake up in the morning, I go, what fresh hell is this? And we tread on. So I don't know. I don't have any phobias or anything. But yeah, life itself is scary enough.
So when you first start getting into making movies and you're in the pitches and you're reading scripts, what was your goal at that time? Like, did you want to set out to start writing or directing, or what was what would I like to do?
No, I've always wanted to write. I will always consider myself writing. It was Luigi that gave me the opportunity to produce, and to learn the craft. So it sort of made me schizophrenic because, I understand the writer's side, the creative side, but then I also understand the business side of, if you have $20 million, are you going to invest it in Brian's original screenplay or Friday the 13th part 20? If you're smart, you're going to take Friday the 13th part 20. So I gotta get my writers, I gotta get my creative people, we have to make it worth it that they don't take Friday the 13th part 20. So that to me is, that's I always look at it that way. So I always wanted to be a writer. I always, I've had the opportunity to direct, but I'd rather somebody do it that really wants it. You know what I'm saying? All of my films have been first-time directors. because I believe in giving people the opportunity. For example, the director of Basement Jack, Michael Shelton, Oscar-nominated special effects guy. Like, he's brilliant. Nobody would give him an opportunity to direct. And I was like, I'll do it. And with my producer hat on, I also got my visual effects. You know what I'm saying? But in turn, I gave him that opportunity. So, Neil Marshall was he had done a couple of shorts in school. I think one was called Kombat, but that was his first job, first directing job. So I like doing that. I'd rather people do what they want to do, and I just like writing. That's my main thing. But I like producing too.
I sometimes think people, like most people who've never been involved in movies at all, don't really know what the producer does. I think a lot of people think of him as like the money person. So in your definition, what is the producer?
That's the executive producer. The producer does everything. You find the project, you get the money for the project, you hire for the project, you set up the project. You do everything. Now, directors and actors, because of the guilds, they get paid 5-6 times. Producer gets paid once. And I got to make sure that everyone's getting paid. So it's a thankless job at some point. But if anything goes wrong, it's the producer's fault. It's the producer's fault. But it's like, that's the challenge. I did a film. I was going to do a film called Scarecrow, and what I didn't know, that it was mafia money that was sort of paying for it. So there was this guy, his name was Nicky, and he was like, we were on the first day of production. He goes, "Hey, I want my girlfriend to be in the movie." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm sure we can find it." No, I want her to be the lead. I go, "I've already hired an actress to be the lead. You can't do that." "Well, yeah, I want her to do that. I think you can make that happen, Brian." And I'm like, "No, I can't I think you can make that happen." So we made it happen. And then she doesn't show up. She doesn't show up for the first day. And I'm like, "Nick, where's your girlfriend?" And he goes, "Oh, she didn't know it was a horror movie. She don't want to do a horror movie." And I didn't really know it was a horror movie either. And so I'm not interested. So he pulls out. So I had to fire everybody, and that kills your reputation. So yeah, so producer does everything. He's got his hands in everything, which is fine, because again, that goes back to where I like to give people their break.
Mm-hmm. So along those lines, what do you look for in a first-time director?
Commitment to the project. I sit down. I have 15 questions that I ask them. Why do you want to do this? Are you a actor's director? Are you a technical director? I just go through this list of things. But mainly just passion. You'd be surprised how much people don't have the passion. It's like they're entitled to it. "Yeah, I'll come in here and I'll direct your show, and no problem. But do you care? It's another horror movie. I don't want. No, goodbye. It's like, you'd be surprised. It's just like, we are so lucky to have these jobs, to get to be in this industry, and there's so many people that just are so lackadaisical about it. So I've been very lucky to work with some very creative people and have that drive. There's been some sore spots, but for the most part, I got lucky.
Mike Stack in the chat room, he says he's blown away that you idolize George Romero and you got a chance to work with him. Do you have a story about that? Like, so how did that come about?
Well, we were promoting Boo and Cemetery Gates at Comic-Con. I believe it was 2004. Don't quote me. And Guillermo del Toro came over, because we had a one of the werewolves from Dog Soldiers stuffed. Was and people were taking pictures with it. And I got to talking to Guillermo, and he was like, he's like, was kind of impressed. He goes, I got a friend who has a project he's trying to get funding for. You might want to meet him. I go, okay. Now I'm stupid. I go, oh, who is it? I don't do that, right? So we end up meeting George Romero. Like, imagine, just like my jaw just dropped. I'm like, oh my God. And so it was Dead Reckoning, and we were at dinner, and I was so excited, and I ran home that night and I read the script, and I really, really hated it. I was like, no. Well, the main problem I had with it is that I see zombies. Now, this is the grandfather of zombies that I'm about to tell this to, but I was like, I think zombies are like a hive mentality. I don't think they would follow one zombie. And at the time he agreed with me. I think he was just being nice, but he agreed with me. And but it ended up there was some problems with the people I was working with in the company, and so he just dropped out. And Universal ended up picking up the project, and they recalled it Land of the Dead. And my favorite George Romero story is that I was talking to him, and that he had walked off the set at least 3 times in Land of the Dead, because it's a studio movie, so you got all these studio people trying to validate their reason for living, and they go, we want you to change this and that. And the main thing that they wanted a happy ending. Yes, a happy ending to a zombie film. So in the end, George ended up compromising, and that's why the zombies at the end walk across the bridge to Canada.
Right.
That was the compromise. Now, the script Dead Reckoning was pure George Romero analogy. I'll tell you real quick. It was about the Cabrini Green, not Cabrini Green. What was it called? The something green. Anyway, it was the apartment building, and it became a real allegory for 9/11. Because that's what George does best. He has these messages in his films that don't hit you on the head, but then after you think about it. So anyway, at the end of Dead Reckoning, the bad guy is flying away in a helicopter. The helicopter, there's these 2 zombies in the back. They kill the helicopter, and he driver, I guess, flyer, and the helicopter flies into the building. It was stuff like that. And so to read that and then see what Land of the Dead became, it's a studio film. So George gave up, and then he ended up doing Diary of the Dead and Survival of the Dead. He stayed independent, but he did go studio. What Warner Brothers was for Creepshow, but I think they had more control then. But yeah, it was a thrill of my life, and the fact that I would share phone calls with them after that was amazing.
Mike says it's Cabrini Green.
Cabrini Green. Yeah, that's what I said, right? Cabrini Green?
I think so. Yeah.
No, Cabrini Green is a housing project in Chicago, isn't it?
I don't know.
It's Green Meadows or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Sorry. He's probably right. Never mind. I have a mind like Teflon. Nothing sticks.
Jane Barker wants to know, what are you up to at the moment, Brian? Besides talking to us, of course.
That's pretty much my day. No, I got lots of fires in the sticks in the fire, or whatever you want to say. Right now, I'm working. I have a partner in the UK that I work with, Jason Davitt, and we are trying to get 3 films off the ground right now. We have Fracked, which is a creature feature about prehistoric parasites that are resurrected from a fracking project, and then Express, which is a Fulci inspired witch story of revenge and stuff like that. And then Jason did 2 vampire films that we're now trying to do the 3rd film for. So I'm working with him, and then I'm working on which is new for me, a hip hop project. Really? For this group called Definitive Collective. And if you don't know them, go to YouTube right after this interview and look them up. They're amazing. because it's not because hip hop that I'm learning is changing. It's no longer chicks and booty and guns and crime. It's more of a positive message. It's more that. And so Definitive Collective is really into that, in that style. So I thought their story and how they came together and stuff would make a terrific movie. So I'm working with two of those guys, Chandler and Steve, to try to get a story together. And then I found a writer here in the UK, Kevin O'Brien, and he has this amazing stoner comedy called The OG High. So I'm working with him right now, hoping to get that off the ground. So yeah, but I'm always looking for projects. But so right now I'm doing those things.
Mike adds Cabrini Green. Yeah, it is Chicago. You know, it's in the Candyman movie.
Oh, right. So it was something green. Oh, Fiddler's Green. That's it. Mike, it's Fiddler's Green.
There we go. Now we've got it all worked out.
Mike's my new best friend. Call me every 5 minutes.
Good man, yeah. So the how would things change? How do you keep up with the change from the mid 90s? You know, it's like VHS tapes, and then the rise of DVD and Blu-ray, and then like the video stores collapse, and now it's on demand. Like I assume you have to keep up with all the change in technology and how people watch movies.
Oh, absolutely. I was really lucky because when I got to Hollywood in 1990, it was still the old, get the movie into theaters, from theaters to home video to cable, so I got to learn as the industry changed. I had to change and adapt as well. So I've gone through all of that. The thing that scares me, Trisha, if you're looking for something that scares me, is streaming. Streaming is terrifying to me because you don't know really how they're keeping the records of the books. They don't offer a lot of money. It's really hard to keep track. I'm lucky because horror, there's like 14 different streaming services. There's Shudder and Halloween Films, and there's so many, outlets to sell my films to. But other films don't have it as lucky, because it's the five majors. And now look at Paramount and HBO and Disney. They're all splintering. So I think everything old is new again. So I think at some point, all of these separate streaming companies, cable companies, are going to have to make them into tiers like they did in the 90s. Like if you want HBO, you also have to get Comedy Central and da. So I think that's where that's going. But it's frightening. It's frightening because for example, if I had a film right now, I would go to my distributor. Always have a distributor, people. So go to the distributor and see if they could pre-sell, like say Russia and Asia, and you can use that money to make your movie. Now that's the old way. Now you can't do that, or it's really, really difficult unless it's a known title and they know they're going to make their money back, because the streaming has changed everything. Now I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I have like 500 films on Vudu, because it's easier for me to just go on my tablet and go out and watch this and that, and so physical content, Blu-rays and 4K and 8K and 16K, and I don't know where they're going to end up. I bought a 3D television and I like 3D, and they discontinued it. So I'm pissed off about that. But anyway, where does it end? Where is it going to stop? And like I said, the physical media. So luckily they passed that broadband thing, that people are going to say, because you're going to need it. It's going to be like electricity and ice cream. You just got to have it.
Yeah, it's weird because I always tell, I like to support physical media, but I'm guilty of it too. Even something I know I own, a lot of times it's easier just to watch it because I know it's streaming somewhere than go find my DVD of it. And I know that's kind of silly because I own it, but it's just simpler.
But
What does sell me are you know, the specials, especially in older movies, which unless it's like a release from Arrow or something, a lot of the newer movies don't have anything like that. They don't have commentary tracks.
no, yeah, I mean, even the menus on Blu-ray are just static. And DVD, I remember the Rocky Horror Picture Show DVD had this great menu, and you know, it was just like they put time and effort into it. Now it's just a static picture, and you go play special features. You know, it's like it's lazy. Um, and I agree. I mean, I buy, you know, Arrow and I'm drawing a blank,
Yeah,
Blue
this
Sky or
Vinegar
whatever. But I
Syndrome.
mean, all
Yeah.
of those, yeah, Vinegar Syndrome and all those. But the thing is that, for example, they Shout or Scream put out a special edition of Dog Soldiers, right?
Mhm.
And they were complaining that they didn't have a master, so it had to be off of print. I have all those things. So I contacted them and I said, look, I have I have all the stuff I saved from the garbage when they threw it out. I have like the dailies, I have all this stuff. Never got back to me. Like it's just so it's really frustrating. But I'm with you. I love that stuff. Like the Godzilla that the Criterion did, you know. I just, you know, I love that stuff. It's like small film school each time. But now you're right. It's like they just throw these things out, and it's because the studios they're not making the money they used to on physical media. It's streaming, and you know. But we'll see what happens. Everything evolves.
Yeah, I've interviewed a couple people recently who said they were looking into putting some of the special features on streaming, like to put their commentary tracks and behind the scenes. And I don't know how that would work.
Well, I mean, they do. I mean, Amazon and Microsoft and some all those sites have the special features, but again, it's you know, it's data. So like, you know, you're paying for it, and if it, you know, and I don't know. It really frustrates me as a producer, you know, because I like DVDs and I liked our
Yeah.
Blu-rays. I like when they do something special with them, and that's the way it should be. I mean, I don't mind paying extra for a booklet or something. But I don't know. I guess it's what everything comes down to the money. It's what sells.
Yeah. I remember
know?
I used to buy all the Herschel Gordon Lewis movies, even the stuff I didn't really care about. I like his horror movies, but like some of his weird, like female bike gang movies, just because I liked his commentary. I like to listen to him talk. So I would actually even not watch the movie first. I would just listen to the commentary because I found him entertaining.
Right. That's what I love. It's like I recently watched Madman again with the commentary, and I learned so much from their commentary. That's what I mean. I mean, it's just like that. It's a treasure trove for filmmakers. But studios are getting a little bit lazy, and a lot of them are pressing by demand now. You know, like Warner Brothers does the archive edition, where you're getting basically a burned Blu-ray. You know, and I've had so many troubles with it. Anyway, I could bitch all night.
Tristan, do you have another question?
Do you have any advice for aspiring creators?
I'm tempted to say what Richard Donner told me, because it is so difficult. It really is, and I don't want to be that guy, but having been in it for over 30 years and just having to deal with stuff, what I would tell my students and things like that would be just like, you know, although the universities hated me, but basically it's like, why are you spending money on film school? We live in a magical world now. Spend that money and get yourself a camera, develop your style, find the stories yourself, you know, because film school, yeah, it'll introduce you to people and it will teach you basics if you don't know it, but it can't teach style. It can't teach, you know, creativity in that sense. You got to go out and do it. So get a camera. I have a friend, Brian Drolet, who did a film called Be Like Trees. He did it all on his iPhone. And if you did not tell me that it was done on his iPhone, I would never have guessed. That's how good these cameras are getting. And he got some amazing footage. It's on YouTube if anyone wants to check it out. It's called Be Like Trees, and done on his phone. So I ran into that problem. Whereas right now, anybody with 10 friends and a phone can make a zombie movie, and that zombie movie will now compete with my studio film. Do you see what I mean? It's like, so I tell people, go out and just do it. Don't let anyone stop you. And there's so many avenues. There's YouTube and Venmo or not Venmo, was it? Anyway, I don't know.
That's right.
But there's so many avenues. But it all comes down to marketing. How do you get eyes on the product? I've done it with Facebook. I keep up, somebody writes me on Facebook, I write them back. Especially critics. I've learned critics, they kill me, because I would get some really nasty, like, for example, when Basement Jack and Evolution came out, okay, somebody pirated the films in Dubai before they got released. So there were 10,000 hits on both movies. 10,000 people had watched both films before it was even released. And people would write negative comments of films they stole. Like, oh, this movie, there's too much going on. Okay, well, but you put $10 to that $10,000 or 10,000 views, and that's a lot of money. And a little independent company like mine, we don't have a Batman to boost that loss. It really kills people. So and I know you had just Neal, you just wrote something about hating the fan films.
Yeah, which I got some hate messages about on Facebook.
Right.
Which I was reading right before this interview.
Yeah. Don't read that. That's the thing. I don't even, but I want to finish my thoughts because I have so many. It's basically, so I would actually contact people that wrote negative, and 90% of them were frustrated writers. That's always what it is. It's like they're just venting. So yeah, don't read that. But what was I gonna say about fan films? So I watched them, and you know what? There's some really creative people.
I will totally agree with that.
Gets them noticed.
Yes.
Yeah.
My thing was more about so many of them will, some of them get hundreds of thousands of dollars. Well, no, that's not too many, but some do. But a lot of them get like tens of thousands of dollars. And I don't know, there's something to me weird and I don't know, I just think it's wrong to get a bunch of money for something you didn't create. And you don't know.
If they got the money to make it, that's okay. If they're getting money showing it, they're breaking the law. They're breaking copyright laws. So they can't charge.
Right.
As far as I know, nobody's charging for these. You can just watch them on YouTube. But do you know of anybody?
Some played festivals. The one person was saying that like some of the, I guess it's looked at a different way. I think some of them have. I'm not positive in all. Yeah. It's a very strange thing to me. I don't quite understand it.
It is, but like Never Hike Alone. Just because let's face it, those films had more imagination than that stupid reboot. In the snow. Let's put Jason in another. It takes the fans to make the films we want to see now, because everything. And now you're going to get me started, but like that crappy Halloween cash grab and Ghostbusters and all those films that are relying on the member berries. Oh, remember this? Yeah,
I didn't get a lot of good feedback in messages. We did a video review of the new Ghostbusters, Annabelle, my friend Annabelle and I, and I think we're in the minority. Most people really loved it, but that's what the whole movie was. Do you remember this and this and this from the Ghostbusters?
It's the same with that Halloween. Well, Halloween Kills. Somebody needs to die for that. But Halloween, here's where they went wrong. Well, it was written by stoners for stoners. Let's just put it out there, right? Remember this, and yeah, let's just ignore the other films. And okay, that's fine, whatever you want to do. But where they screwed up was when Michael Myers goes in that one house and kills the mom, and then he walks past the baby. At that point, that's where they made the mistake. Because if he's a force of evil, he would not have let that baby live. So
Or dead babies. That's what you're lobbying.
No. In that
is
universe,
the message of the evening.
No, I love babies.
No, but I understand.
With the right garnish. If you're gonna, if you're gonna stay in the universe, you got
to play by the rules you set up.
Right. And that's not what they're doing now. Now it's just giant cash grab. And I got to talk to John Carpenter. He actually picked the poster for Dog Soldiers. We were at a Fangoria convention, and I got a chance. I think he came to our booth or somehow, and I showed him the poster, and he goes, "What is this, a war movie?" And I had to point out in the original poster that the werewolves were in the image of the moon. And he goes, "No. You need a single image, bright colors to do it." And so that's what we did. I mean, so he actually helped us develop the poster for that. And I love John Carpenter, but I'm sorry. And anyway, I saw a quote from him. He goes, he picks up Variety and he sees they're making another Halloween, and he goes, "Well, I'm getting another check." I mean, that's just terrible. I'm sorry. That's just, so when a film, sometimes a film becomes beloved and you can't mess with it. It's like if they remake Jaws, some people are going to die because you just can't do that. And The Exorcist, I'm really worried about what Blumhouse is going to do with The Exorcist. However, to be fair, I really liked the first season of the TV show. It was amazing. Like, they really took it there. And then the second season, the priest becomes gay and he goes to some, who knows, and it got canceled. I mean, it was like, what is this? Or the Damien TV show. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. So he takes pictures of war atrocities and becomes more evil? And what about Godzilla versus Kong? Monkey punches lizard for 2 hours.
In the center of the earth with a giant battle axe.
So stupid. I'm so mad at everything right now. I haven't seen a good movie in so long. Can you recommend one?
Last Night in Soho I thought was very good, and I loved Antlers. Yeah, and Antlers.
Oh, Antlers. Oh, I was gonna watch Antlers, but I didn't. I
thought it was probably two of my favorite movies I saw at the theaters here. Censor, that had a limited release, but I really liked it.
Okay, I'll watch those. I'm just so frustrated at all these member berries. Those guys from South Park, they're geniuses. But it's true. It's like, remember this? Don't worry about creativity or anything. Just remember this.
Mm-hmm. That has been a new phenomenon in the sequels of the last 10 years. That's the new Star Wars movies. They're all that. Remember everything.
Right, exactly. I mean, what was that atrocity? Oh my God. My name's Skywalker and so is my wife. I mean, what is happening with these movies? Doesn't anyone think anymore? And then Chubzilla, get on a treadmill, Godzilla. You know where all this started? I'm going to tell you where all this started. With that Yawn of the Dead. That remake that Snyder did. Okay, first of all, I'm not the brightest person in the world, but if zombies run, they're dead. They have no circulations. Their ankles would break. End of story. Second of thing, everything happened for the convenience of the writer. Oh my God, the zombies are coming. Where can we go? Camera pans up. There's the mall. What? It's so frustrating. And they got millions of dollars to do that. And here I've met so many great creative people who have such great ideas, new ideas, can't get at the time of day. But you put a guy who spends all his life in the gym and in spandex, and it's these superhero movies are just like, they're supposed to be morality tales. Wasn't that what the comic books were about?
Right.
And what are the movies about? Captain America's ass. Look at that ass. That's
America's ass, right?
Come on. It's so sad.
When we first started the show in 2006, I think he was the sixth guest was Adam Green. It was before Hatchet came out. And I just mentioned that I really liked the log line of it, or whatever the subtitle was, not based on it was not a sequel, not a remake, not based on a Japanese movie. And I brought it up, and he said that was from an actual rejection letter he got. That they sent this, to get it distributed, and they said they declined because it wasn't a reboot, a remake, or based on a Japanese movie. And I thought it was very bizarre.
It's so true. When I made Sleep Stalker, okay, horror movies were pretty much verboten, so we couldn't call it a horror movie. This is 95. We had to call it a dark fantasy. That's how horror.
If something gets up an Academy Award, it's no longer horror. It's always a thriller or psychological thriller.
Right. But we did Sleep Stalker through Prism, and Prism was like, no, do not even say the H word. It's a dark fantasy, But that's just it, it's the marketing. It's all the people that are hanging on to, to make money off the artists, these gatekeepers. And because I was a talent agent for a few years, I was a literary agent, so I've been lucky because I got to see the inside. And that's why I tell people, just do it yourself. I have to have an agent or I won't get anywhere. No. If you have somebody who's interested, you can get a lawyer for $20 to write a letter, register the script and stuff like that. It's just like, it's so aggravating. And I feel bad for these kids because I see, they all, I want to make these films, and and I'm like, just do it. Just do it. You have so many great avenues. TikTok, even,
Someone just brought that up in the chat room, actually. Walter brought up TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, some of these kids are getting so super famous from just these dance moves. I've tried them. I threw my back out. I can't. This is not. It's impossible to do.
I don't have thousands of views, but I did have a TikTok video that did fairly well. I did you remember they had the crate challenge a few months ago?
Mm-hmm.
So I did my crate challenge. They were supposed to, but I just did in a straight line, and it actually got a lot of views. It's very stupid, which I know is hard to believe with the guy with the turkey hat. But
stupid is currency now. Come on.
No, I'm a rich man then, apparently.
Because I wish I could come up with something really stupid. I keep trying, but
I didn't want to bring up earlier today. I did an interview with people made this movie, I Need You Dead, which is premiering Friday in Brooklyn. And it's it's like a Trauma-esque movie. But I just want to say that he said that working for Trauma on Shakespeare Shitstorm was his film school, which I thought was interesting because he didn't go to film school. He worked on a Trauma movie and watched, Lloyd Kaufman make the movie. And, that's how he learned to make movies himself.
Oh, absolutely. The best training is porno films. Because believe me, much like Jaws and Dog Soldiers, those films are made in editing. But it really is, you learn a lot. You learn a lot doing that. I actually was on the set for 2 when I was first starting back in 91, and very professional, just the smell was atrocious, but you learned a lot. You learned a lot, and you had to learn fast and video and stuff like that. So I have a lot of respect. I have a lot of friends. I have a friend who's doing porn. He's now directing films for Hallmark. He's got a Christmas film. It's like that's Hollywood. That's people fall up. I've dealt with some of the worst, I don't want to say backstabbers, but I have. And, they fell up, they're doing major movies now. And it's just, it's kind of sad. So when I see someone with talent like Gary and Walter with Plaga Zombie, I mean, imagine those guys if they had a budget. You know what I'm saying? Imagine, stuff because Gary has, you watch the film and the camera angles and the things he did with it, like it's just like wow, there's talent here, and these are the guys.
Because I went in thinking I'm probably gonna have fun with this because it's probably kind of a schlocky movie, and it is, but it really has a lot of heart, and it is well made, and there's a lot of visuals for a movie that I don't think really has much of a budget at all. It's very fun to watch.
No, and it's all part of the charm. It's like I really enjoyed it, and I like to see more of that. And I think people should see that film and be encouraged, and stop watching these giant ice shark movies and I mean, come on, like it's like they think they have one hit by accident, and suddenly there's a new genre, and it's frustrating.
I remember, I've interviewed some of those people, and I always brought that is its own genre though, like the sci-fi movies, like the Sharknado. That's like its own people. It's never been my thing. Whatever people are into, that's fine, but it's become its own genre of film.
Right, and there's fans, and I've seen a few that I really like. I mean, I'm a huge killer animal, Grizzly, Food of the Gods, Night of the Lepus, all of those. I would love to do it. Actually, Cemetery Gates is my tribute to those films. I did a film that was going really out of budget, so the money had to come from somewhere, so it came out of Cemetery Gates. And so I was left with like $250,000, and I was like, you know what? I'm rewriting the script, and it's basically a menu. 17 people die in 90 minutes. We used 80 plus gallons of blood. And we just had a lot of fun. And you know what? It's probably next to Dog Soldiers, my most successful film. People got it. And we have a lot of
somewhere.
No, well, you can watch it pirated on YouTube.
Well.
But it's in pieces.
I don't know if you want to condone that, but it's up to you.
No, I mean, I got paid. I don't. Well, I'd rather people just watch them, So Cemetery Gate, it's probably my favorite, just because it was just we didn't care anymore, and we had a lot of great cameos. We had Greg Nicotero, and Reggie Bannister was in it, and Howard Berger, and I'm drawing a blank now, but it was fun, and people seem to enjoy it. So yeah, that's my favorite one. Well,
Trista's looking really cool right now. Looks like Paranormal Activity or something.
Oh, the light was just shining.
It looks on it. And honestly, I think it looks creepy. I like it. Yeah.
I'm glad you don't mind that I turned it off. I
like it.
It might be kind of rude, but
it adds a lot of. I think it has a lot of atmosphere. It's cool.
Oh, thanks. I'll be dark from now on.
I'm kind of scared though. Maybe this will be my new phobia. I don't know. Do you have a question, Trista?
Sure. Yeah. What are the best and worst parts of filmmaking for you, Brian?
Best of times and the worst of times. The worst is always the behind the scenes drama. There's always something goes wrong, or someone's stealing, or someone's and I've gone through all of that, and but the best part is the actors and the putting themselves out and sitting in the audience. I remember when we showed Dog Soldiers at the Egyptian, and it was star-studded. We had I can never say her last name. Mia, how do you say her last name? Mia from Resident Evil. Mila.
I know.
Anyway, and her husband Paul Anderson, and there was and Don Costarelli from Phantasm sat next to me, and just to have him glowing about it, and at Comic-Con, well, I told you, like Guillermo del Toro was like just went on and on about it. And, it's just like all I can think is all the horrible things that the werewolf heads never worked, and we used dancers instead of mimes, and the werewolves look like drag queens, and that's all I can see when I watch it, and and all the fights and stuff like that. So, but when an audience sees it and they react, it's the best feeling in the world. It really is. It's like, it's why we do it, you know. And when I go to conventions and somebody rolls up their sleeve and shows me a tattoo of one of my monsters, that is incredible. You know, you're like, wow. Or when somebody, I remember this one guy came up to me and opened his laptop and said, I saw Cemetery Gates and I wanted to be a monster designer. And he showed me all these animatronic things he did. Genius. Like, I was like, I inspired that. Wow. You know, that's why we do it, you know, give back.
So you said you haven't really seen a good horror movie lately, but what are some of your favorite horror movies of like modern day, even if it's not in the last couple of years?
You know, I've been so busy. I'm so behind on everything. I haven't seen Dexter. I haven't seen any of these shows. I saw the house that Jack built was pretty wild. Although I didn't understand the end. Did you see it?
Yeah.
What was that ending?
I think the end is him actually going to hell.
Right, but I don't know. That picnic scene just was astounding. You know, I watch a lot of like independent films because I like trying to help people find distributors and stuff like that, you know. And plus, you know, I've been trying to get my own films going. So I haven't really seen, that's why I asked you. I go, you know, when I do take time and it sucks like Halloween Kills, oh my God.
I basically see every movie that comes out.
Yeah, you're so lucky. I used to.
Lucky. It might be crazy, but yeah, I go.
And I own pretty much most of them. Just haven't watched them. I'm very bad at that because I just been really busy. But like when I see Halloween Kills and it's so bad, and it's like I give up. How much did this movie cost? 20 million, 30 million? I could have made, you know, 110 movies out of that, you know. And I've read such good scripts of, you know, people. So that's my cross to bear.
You know, I will say this was really weird. Annabelle and I went to see Halloween Kills, and we did a video review of it. We do a show dinner and a movie, so we review the movies while we're eating. And I was saying, like, I can't understand. Like, if you've seen all the Halloween movies, I don't know how you would enjoy this movie. And then our server, she said that she had never seen any other Halloween movie, and so we interviewed her, and she loved Halloween Kills. And I was like, it was very strange to me. And then she said she went back and watched the original Halloween. And I thought, I'm kind of a grumpy old horror fan against remakes. And I didn't, but if it results in someone going back and watching the classics, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And she also watched the Exorcist because she liked some other new movie. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. Anyway, this person is like 20 years old and went and watched all the old movies because she watched the new ones.
Yeah, the worst thing that ever happened is that I have to say the blank now. Because there's so many remakes. And when these kids go to me and they go...
Well, sometimes people say that it's not even the original. I remember when they had the new Mummy out and there were people I knew who thought that the Brendan Fraser movie was the original Mummy.
Right, well, we've lived too long. That's what's happened. It's like, oh my God. So do you even know who Boris Karloff is? You mean the voice of the Grinch? Okay, I'm just gonna jump here.
They probably even know that. Yeah.
They wouldn't even know that. But it's like, yeah. I always have that. Yeah, there was an original one. Oh yeah, there was, you know, but yeah, it makes me happy when they go back and go, oh, that was so much better. And I'm like, yeah. Right. Because they're creatures of their time. You can't recapture that. That's the lesson we learned from that Friday the 13th reboot. Was you could have put any serial killer in that role. It wasn't Jason. You know, it wasn't. It could have been Leatherface. It could have been anybody. How many more Texas Chainsaws are they going to make? What part of that story are we missing?
It's really, I always think when I was a kid, like it was kind of exciting because every Friday the 13th, this was before, you know, cable and stuff. They would show the Friday the 13th movies in order of whatever they were up to, part 3, part 4. And you could watch all those even later on in order, but you couldn't really watch like all the Halloween movies today. And it wouldn't make any sense if you watch in order because they'd skip, you know, once they get to a certain point, they skip like 3, 4, 5, 6. and then do the H2O, and then like they totally reboot it, and then they skip 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and H2O for the new one. It'd be just going all over the place. I don't know how you'd watch all these movies in order and make any sense out of them.
Yeah, the new fad is timelines. Oh, it's a different timeline. We used to call it you run out of ideas and just rehash it. But if you want to call it a timeline, go ahead. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I think it's the business part of it. It's like Walking Dead should have ended 3 seasons ago. Now it's become Gunsmoke with zombies.
It's really weird because then they have more offshoots planned in the movie, and it seems like the worst time to plan all these more Walking Dead is because like there's not that really hardcore fan base for it right now.
Well, I have to say, Fear the Walking Dead, which I didn't like to begin with, actually is growing on me because at least it's different human stories. Whereas, like I said, Walking Dead just became Gunsmoke with the zombies once in a while when they remembered. Oh yeah, I think we're supposed to be zombies. Like it was a rainstorm. Oh, let's throw some zombies in. Just long speeches, morality tales. Sad to see that show go down.
Yeah. In the early days of Without Your Head, I was reading the comic and I was like, this comic is great. It would make a great TV show. And then it became, and no one credits me.
No, they won't.
I'm just kidding about that. But I didn't talk about it would make a great TV
We're
show.
ahead of our time. We're creatures of the future.
Now I can barely see Trista. I can see a little bit of her forehead.
I know. Sorry, guys. It was nice chatting with you. Sorry, I had a lighting issue.
I think it reminds me of those movies, and at some point you're just gonna pop out and scare me. That's what I think is gonna happen.
Sorry.
No,
I'll let you wrap it up, Neal. Sorry, I had a lighting problem. Thank you.
Totally
fine. It was so nice, Brian, to meet you.
You too. I hope to talk to you again soon.
Thank you. I loved hearing your stories so much.
Oh yeah, I have more. Call me. You're my new best friend.
Take care. Happy holidays.
You too. Happy Turkey Day.
Thank you. You too.
It's good to see you again. And say hi to the cats.
Sure will. Bye.
Bye.
This is how every Tinder date ends for me.
With the guy with the turkey hat?
No, the light goes out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The light fades and it's like, oh, okay, bye. No. Oh, what a world we live in.
So they asked you what you were up to. So well, how about this last year though, during the pandemic? Did that put a hold on anything you were working on?
Yeah, the pandemic hurt a lot. It really did. I had things going. And in my work, when you're trying to get financing and stuff, you got to go meet the people because they're not financing the film, they're financing you. They're buying you, and you need to deliver this product. And so I couldn't go out and meet people, and I couldn't go out and do what I had to do. So like most people in this industry, we suffered the most and got nothing. They were helping all these other people, but the people in the entertainment industry, we got nothing. You couldn't file for unemployment because you're considered self-employed. You couldn't get any of the stimulus, except for the one everyone got. But you know what I'm saying? So a lot of my friends, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I have 2 friends in LA right now that are living in their cars. They had to choose between keeping their apartments or eating. Mm-hmm. And I won't say the studio name, but in order to help people, instead of giving them more money, or what they did was they let them use the shower in the morning, the company shower, so they can come in and shower, but they still have to live in their cars. Yeah. And I have friends who are living in tents under underpasses in LA. It's much worse than the news is letting you on, because and I'm not a political person, so I'm not trying to be political, but the fact is that they're trying to show you that the government is working now. We're over the Trump disaster, but it's not true. There's so many people still out of work and wait. I mean, it's like you wouldn't ask a doctor to go get a job as a server. What we do, you and I, and is a specialized service. We trained all our lives for these, our jobs or whatever, and they threw us out. They just said fine. And but when they start showing reruns, hey, where's my new shows? Why don't I have new shows? Well,
Right.
because I had a friend who committed suicide during this period.
No, I'm
I
really
mean,
sorry.
it was yeah, but it's just it just was, it was horrible. But it showed. Hopefully, it showed a lot of holes in the system, and that hopefully things will get better. I mean, where were the guilds? Where was SAG and where was Writers Guild helping people?
Mhm.
Where were they? They did nothing. Oh, here's a seminar on how to get a job. No, 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 no. So, again, I know that sounds bitter, but when you have friends who are suffering like that, and you can't get any projects going, and it's still that way here in the UK, they're going to have lockdown again.
Yeah.
So what? They were saying my vaccine was not good enough because the US doesn't have a safety or whatever. They do it better. So I have to get my shots again
Really? I
because
did.
they don't
Yeah.
believe. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got a notice. Oh, they're really good in the UK. They have a app, and they really keep you up to date. And you have to scan things. They got it down to a science. Here, we're arguing, about the cosmic cash machine in the sky will protect us with his blood. And meanwhile, they're the ones that are dying. It's sad. It's sad. It's really, I'm really sad about that. It's hard, but we'll survive. We'll get out of it, and there'll be some great stories that come out of it. But I'm just sorry that everyone's going through this still.
Did you during the time so they started to put movies like they would debut them a lot of times on HBO Max or streaming the same time they would be at the theater. Do you think because they still keep that up, some of the movies today. Do you think that in the long run that will hurt people ever going back to the theater again?
No,
Because
no,
they'll
no.
be used to.
As long as people are still dating, they'll always be going to the theaters. I was hoping that drive-ins would come back.
Yeah, I would
I
too. I grew up
love
with the
drive-ins.
drive-in, so yeah.
Yeah, I love drive-ins. It was the first time I saw a boob, because if you went down a street and you could see some of the screen of a drive-in,
Right, right.
the first time I saw a boob, it was like, the kids are not going to have these magical experiences. But no, I thought drive-ins were going to come back. I was hoping that we'd get more screenings of classic films. I mean, these kids, I keep saying kids, but these young adults never saw Alien on the big screen, never saw Aliens, never saw, some of the greatest films that are so different. Dog Soldiers alone is a much different experience
Oh
on the
yeah.
big
I think
screen.
pretty much any movie is, but yeah.
Yeah. No, well, there's some dramas that are pretty much
Sure,
just
sure.
TV friendly, but yeah, like horror films and sci-fi, and I mean, Dune, you can't even watch on TV because the scope is so. I mean, it's gonna be like this.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like watching it on TV. It's like when they brought the Star Wars movies back. That was great because whole generation never saw them on the big screen, and I think I was hoping they would do more of that since no films were being made, but they didn't. Instead, Disney bought Fox, and now Frankenfurter is a Disney princess. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
will say I started going back to the movies this summer, I guess. And originally, sometimes I wouldn't be I'd be about the only person. There'd be very few. And it was a very weird experience going to the AMC in Boston. And like, it's a great big theater with like 20, screens. And like, there'd be like me and like three people. But over the last month or so, it's been really busy. Some of the theaters have been packed. There was packed for Dune, which I was a little surprised at because I didn't know if it would be a movie that really appealed to like a big audience. But I know I want everyone to be safe, but at the same time, I do like that people are going back into the see movies.
yeah, because that's where they belong.
Mm-hmm.
It's like watching Broadway on TV. It's like, why the heck are you watching a play on TV? Go to the theater. That's a whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like but people are becoming simple. Well, listen, Spielberg back in the 90s, I think it was trying to start a company where you could pay $80 and see first run films.
Right.
So it's not a new idea. It's
Yeah.
not a new idea. It's just like, they put a lot of money into Sonic the Hedgehog, and damn it, people were going to watch it whether they liked it or not. So wasn't that like the first straight to
Yeah, I think
Sonic the
so.
Hedgehog?
I say I see everything, but I actually did not see Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know. I just
it wasn't. It's even if you don't play the video game, it was still entertaining.
Yeah, I was a Nintendo guy, Nintendo kid, so I was playing like Mario.
Oh, so where do you stand on the whole Chris? What's his name?
I don't know why anyone cares. I mean,
yeah, it's like it's a voice anyway, right?
Yeah, it's not like in the last like. I also think it's weird that people act like the other Mario Brothers movie is some classic because it's really a terrible movie.
Oh no, it's so terrible.
Neither Mario and Luigi and Ed aren't Italian either, so I don't know.
You know what else is terrible? This Mountain Dew gingerbread.
I saw that actually yesterday when I was out with my brother, and I was like, I don't. Maybe if it was gingerbread root beer or something, but. Because isn't that like lemon lime then mixed with gingerbread? That doesn't sound.
No,
right.
it tastes like gingerbread.
Oh,
very mild. It tastes like Christmas Coke with too much cinnamon.
All right.
But yeah, it's like what is happening in my mouth?
But you had to try it though, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to throw that commercial in. Back to the show.
Yeah. But I'm happy. I see a lot of old movies too. I saw The Possession from '81 for the first time last week at the theater. It was very cool.
Yeah, last Halloween, I watched 31 horror films I had never seen, like Last House on the Left. And
the original one? Or?
Yeah, the original one. I've never
seen
it.
Wow.
Never saw Shivers, which had Lynn Lowry, who was in my film Basement Jack. Never saw that. So I watched 31 horror films I've never seen. Some of them I'm glad I didn't see, because there's not a lot that I didn't see, so it was kind of hard. But there was some Hammer films that I saw that I never saw that I was glad I saw and stuff like that. So I think everyone should do that. Just kind of go and say, what films haven't I seen? Because the one thing that Blu-ray does really well is black and white films. The Universal monster movies look so good on Blu-ray, like almost 3D, like just beautiful. So
for Halloween I do a 12-hour. We didn't do it last year because of COVID, but this year they brought it back. They do a 12-hour horror movie marathon at Coolidge Theater. It's a really old theater. It's very cool, from the 20s, and they from midnight till noon the next day. And they always have a theme, and this theme was kind of a broad theme. It was just horror sequels, but they showed, which they said was the very first horror sequel, which I guess is right. Bride of Frankenstein and Halloween 3 were the two headliners, which is a very odd combination. And then the rest were, it was not random, but they were mystery movies, so you didn't know what you were going to get after that.
Yeah, no, that's the one thing I miss about LA.
in 35 millimeter was amazing to watch on the big screen.
Yeah. I remember we went to go see Wizard of Oz. And the thing is, the downside of this 4K and stuff like that is now if you watch Wizard of Oz, it's like the string on the lion's tail is its own character. Like it's so clear. It's like I kept watching it going, I never noticed that before.
I noticed that because one time we went to see, it was an old 35 millimeter print of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I think the bad print actually added to the movie because that movie shouldn't be real clear thing. And then we went and saw the restored version at the same theater. It was digital restored. And to me, it wasn't nearly as enjoyable because it was like crystal clear. And I don't know. I think sometimes if you clean up a movie too much, it doesn't work. Depending. Hellraiser was the same way because they clean that up so much when they're pushing the monster down the hallway thing. You can actually see the feet of the people pushing it because they brightened it up too much.
There's a 4K Dog Soldiers from Germany. I don't know how they did it, but they got it. And see, we filmed that in Super 16, which is a super grainy film stock.
Mm-hmm.
So they cleaned it up, and it just doesn't look right. It's nice, but and then we also did a lot of day for night shots. There's like a blue tinge to things, and so when they color corrected it, it wasn't quite color corrected right or something like that. Only I would notice this stuff. So,
Right.
but I was like, that's not wait. They look like blueberries. Violet, you're turning into a blueberry.
Uh-huh. You mentioned Don Coscarelli. The Phantasm restored looks great, but I don't know. I guess it depends on the movie. Some movies have some of the shadow to hide things. It was more artistic, some of those movies, than it just happened to not be that bright.
Yeah, Phantasm is
I love it.
What a magical movie. That it's just, it's the film I show someone who's never seen a horror film, that would be the film I show them. And then The Exorcist. But yeah, Phantasm, I was so glad to meet Don. And, I remember we were walking into the parking lot of the Egyptian after the Dog Soldiers screening, and some people came up to me and they're like, "Oh, I love that movie." And I go, "Yeah, but do you know who I'm standing next to?" It's like, I don't take compliments very well, because it's just sort of, because I have all the pain and suffering. And so, as a producer, so I don't get much joy from it, except, like I said, when I screen it and people react right. And I'm like, oh, thank God that worked. But there's other films like when I did Atlas Shrugged, I got death threats and police broke into my apartment. I woke up with a gun in my face because somebody who was jealous, not jealous, but whatever, that a hack horror writer wrote the movie version of their classic book. So he called it suicide with a gun in on me. So the police just broke into my apartment. It was like wild. So
damn, geez.
Yeah, it's fun in filmmaking.
Yeah. There's only one interview we have that we got any death threats about, which is weird, but it was death threats on the YouTube for the guy who directed, I'm not gonna remember his name, a Serbian film.
Oh my God. Why did you bring that up? Oh my God, that movie still haunts me. And I see people at conventions with t-shirts that say, "Fuck you and your baby."
Yeah, yes.
And I immediately want to crawl into a fetal position. Seriously, that film, and the problem with it is it's well done.
It is. That's what I always say. It's actually a well-made and well-acted movie.
Yeah, had it been a crappy piece of pornography, I would have laughed it off. But it's a really well-done movie. Like, who thinks of that?
Yeah, it's
seriously, and it takes a lot to faze me. I've seen everything.
Uh-huh.
I laughed through Faces of Death. Have you seen Faces of Death?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love the bear, and I love the blonde-haired all-American kid that gets eaten by the alligators. And it's a cheer-up movie for me, sad as that is.
But you draw the line at a Serbian film, I understand.
Oh my God, that's my line. And I tell everybody that I talk to, I go, "Have you seen it? I forbid you to watch it. I'm sorry to the filmmaker. Hey, I hope you go on to do other films. You have quite the eye." But that film is just wrong on every level. And yet I want one of those t-shirts. So
they are pretty cool. I remember taking a picture the first time I saw one at a convention. I went up to him and said, "Can I take a picture of your shirt?" It was pretty, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm not really want to dish out $25 of my own for the joke.
Yeah, no, I took a picture.
Yeah, the picture. And then you can Photoshop your head on it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm doing from now on. I'm not buying nothing. Yeah, that movie. Anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted you. So you got death threats from?
Yeah, they were like, saying like it deserved a bullet in the head for interviewing the guy, and I was like, whoa.
Oh, really?
Very weird. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got those too for Atlas Shrugged. It's like, that's a whole nother show. We'd have to do a whole nother show on just the Atlas Shrugged movies. But yeah, that was quite the experience.
Jeez, that's crazy. Well, we will do another show sometime if you'd like. That would be fun. We'll get Trista back in the light.
Yeah, no, she'll do what they all say. Never again. Never, no, not with that guy. There's something wrong with him.
We'll watch Atlas Shrugged, and we'll agree with this guy.
yeah, that's you know what that's I was so glad to be involved in that film, in that I was able to make somebody's dream come true, like the guy who put up the money, and John Aguilera. It's just that it became a political thing, and well, we can talk about it anyways. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's out there now, so that's all I can say. I'll tell you the whole story next time, but stuff like that. Oh, and I was gonna read to you the review comments on
Yeah,
Dog
let's hear it.
Soldiers next time. No, there's so many.
All right, we'll save him for next
But
time. That was fun.
next time, because that's what kills films, is like you go to these screenings,
Mhm.
and we had 11 people, and some of these are very funny. I'll tease with that. Um, Dog Soldiers is next year is the 20th anniversary.
Oh, it is. Oh, awesome.
So maybe you could do a show. Maybe I can get you some people.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We can do a show.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I want the fans. I really appreciate the fans. I mean, that they're just discovering the movie and things like that, and to me, that's what it's all about, that they're still finding it.
Mhm.
Um,
That's interesting about horror movies is they do seem to get new fans, where I think a lot of like old dramas, like if people don't like them, they just kind of disappear.
so they don't have conventions for Pretty Woman.
That's true. There's not a. I always used to make this joke. There's no rom-com convention, and then one day of the blue, I got an email to do like press for a rom-com con, and I was like, I can't make this joke anymore, I guess. But I don't think it was successful. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's
Maybe it was. I have no idea. I just assume everyone's dressed like comes with the boombox over the head from what's that? Say anything.
Say Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you'd cosplay as, but I don't know.
Well, again, those are creatures of their time too. I mean,
Sure.
16 Candles, everyone goes, it's about date rape. You can't show that movie anymore. It's
And-
about date rape. I go, no, it's not. It's not. Why are you, that he didn't actually do that. He was talking big. That's what guys used to do. They used to
Right.
talk, it's just, it's sad that we have to put at the beginning of classic movies, well, this was written in a different time. And so you might be offended by. Audience are so much smarter than Hollywood gives them credit for,
Mhm.
They know. Listen, Gone with the Wind, 1939. Yeah, the world would have obviously been a little different then.
Right.
I mean, and it's a period piece. Yeah, people watching Jurassic Park is a documentary. I don't know anymore. Hey, did you see the trailer for the new Jurassic Park?
No, actually, I don't think I have.
Oh, you have to watch it. I won't say anymore.
All right, I'll check this
Yeah,
out. Yeah.
It's a Kaiju lover's dream.
Okay.
That's all I'll say. Did I say it right? Kaiju, yeah, Kaiju.
I don't know, but I think so. I'm the wrong person.
You'll watch it. You'll love it. You'll call me back.
All right, sounds good. Well, this has
All
been
right.
very fun.
Has it?
Yes. If it wasn't, we wouldn't say let's do it again. Or
Can you get at least 10 minutes out of this?
Oh yeah, well, the whole thing has been streaming live. So yeah.
What? Hey, Mom.
How can people follow you to see what you're up to?
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm not falling for that again. Well, Jason and I and our company, Witchword, we're on Facebook. We had a website, but I took it down because I want to change it. Mainly, I have a website. It's my name, brianpatrickotoole.com. Although I'm a little behind posting on that. Just Google me. I'm there.
Fair enough.
But
I always
yeah,
actually
Facebook,
think that in the back of my mind when I ask how people could follow. I'm think they probably could just Google this person and look them up. But, yeah.
just Google me. I'll write you back. I don't have a life.
Well, all right. I've been keeping a track of movies I like this year because it always comes up at the end of the year, and then I have to look up all the movies that came out and try to because I'm bad at like the dates. So I'll start sending you my list of movies that I like for the year.
Yeah, because I definitely want because after Thanksgiving the town just sort of dies, so I'm gonna have some free time and I want to catch up. Without saying anything, what did you think of the Ghostbusters ending with the reappearance?
I mean, I feel bad saying anything because people are like very touched and stuff. But I guess it's nice, but it doesn't do a lot for me.
Yeah, it was dumb. It's like when they tried to do the Ronnie James Dio hologram concert. I'm
Yeah.
like, I didn't know how I felt about that. Like, I love the music, I love the guy, but that's like grave robbing.
It brings up a weird like moral question. Is it okay to use someone's like likeness who isn't alive? And I mean, you could. It's different in Ghostbusters because at least it makes sense that a ghost would be in
Ah,
Ghostbusters. Oh yeah, we're going too far, I guess. But
don't say anything.
yeah, but I think probably everyone knows by now. But it is a weird question about using people's likenesses when they're no longer here in things. And
Right.
it's been a few things now the last few years.
Well, they're doing a whole film with James Dean.
Right.
So let's see how that comes out. Because if that works,
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean, this is just the beginning of. I mean, you could first like there's a new. They could do a new John Wayne movie. I mean, you could do anything.
yeah. See, I didn't mind Rogue One. I mean,
Right.
I bought
I actually
into
think
it.
that's one of the best of the new Star Wars, Rogue One, and I
Yeah,
actually
I
didn't
do
think
too.
Solo's too bad either, but people hated it.
What?
I thought it was pretty fun, but
What did you like? That it ended?
no, I thought it was a fun movie. I had fun watching in the theater.
Did you?
Yeah.
And you're in AA now? You're doing well?
I'm fine, yeah. But Rogue One, I think that's probably the best of the new
Yeah,
ones.
I agree. I like to do it. All right. Feel free to hang up at any time because I'll babble all day.
All right. Well,
Thank
we'll
you very
talk to you
much for
again.
having me.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. It's been very fun, honestly.
All right. Talk to you
Yeah.
later, Neal.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
You have happy Thanksgiving.
I'm gonna awkwardly wave while I hit end.